Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is for Haley 2024, The Movement's Government Reform Ideas. Now, this video is going to be on states' partial acceptance per sector. So let's go over what I'm doing here is I'm proposing a new constitution for the United States. It replaces the full constitution. It replaces every state constitution and it actually creates a local constitution for every state every locality in the union. We still have all the local governments still have this full CRA structure. Every state government has this full distinct CRA structure. So distinct CRA structure for every current government, local, state, and the federal government. So it's highly important to understand the whole structure. So let me go through a little bit. First thing you have to understand when I do this is, and I'll get to the main topic probably after about a 5-minute overview real quick. I always like to do it because, hey, we need to know where we're going with that sector. We need to understand where it fits into the whole Constitution. So first thing you have to understand is we separate all government power into 30 sectors. No one person has power in more than one sector, official authority. So people who deal with family law, they don't have control over the police. People dealing with banking law, they don't have control over education. People dealing with the military don't have control over transportation. Top level elected leaders. So we really split things up significantly. And you see the 30 on there. I'm going to go over all 30 within the video here. Then within each sector and at every level of government, we have roughly 12 CRAs. CRAs are competitive governing agencies. This whole thing is made for the CRA. 90% of what we're doing is competitive regulatory agencies. I call them competitive governance, and they also competitive representative. They send representatives up to the monopolized sector board. So it's highly important to understand this is where it's all at. Right here is 90%. Everything else, the sector boards, the parent sector boards, the rating systems, they're all made to support the CRA. And that's where it's all out at. So, but these are executive, legislative, and judicial, full governments within each CRA. So let's keep on going because there are a lot of overviews. To understand any part of this, I have videos out there. It's all on my website, haley2024.org. Okay, states partial acceptance per sector. So here are some of the here's the Constitution again. I'm sorry. Went out of order there. Okay. We do have a good preamble. It's on my computer. It's on the website. The first section is citizenship, then general laws. We got bylaws, federal, state, and local, original authority, supermajority, and if you want to know any of those, I have a lot of overviews. I'm not going to get into each one now. I just don't have the time right now. I want to keep this one rather short. The parent sector board, how that works and created, how the structure of the sector board is. Again, the CRA is the main thing. Everything else is built to make that work. That's where you get your representation from. You select these. The rating system makes everything else work better. The taxation, we still have to collect money. Mostly it's going to be CRA fees. A lot of head taxes, a little bit of proportional taxes, how we deal with debt. Pockets of freedom is, we just did a video on that. I'll have that up in mid-April. By the way, this is 2021. I will be doing several dozen videos between February and probably June of 2021. And I did a whole bunch of videos about a year ago, and they're all on the YouTube. And you can get to it from my website or just Haley 2024, The Movement. Easy to find on YouTube, on Facebook. It's all out there. But my website can get you to wherever you need to be. Then states partial acceptance per sector. That's what the focus here is. But we're 4 minutes into this, and this is how it's structured. So let's go through this. The separation of responsibilities and authorities of 30 sectors. I showed you the 30 sectors. We're going to go through them quickly, though. So here are the constitutional clauses. This is section 14 out of 15. We have 15 sections. This is section 14. Okay. Once passed, every state's current legislative branch may vote to accept every sector's individually except for sectors 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Sectors 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are in full effect upon the adoption of this constitutional amendment. So, if a state does not want to go fully into the system, I want them to still be able to vote on the constitutional amendment to pass this thing. That I don't want anybody to not go fully into the system. I think the system is wonderful. I created the system. I think it's a really, really good system. So obviously I want everybody to go to it. But let's say some states are wary about turning their police over to competitive police, going free enterprise police, or free enterprise education, or free enterprise roads, or whatever the case may be. I go free enterprise everything. So I totally understand somebody's being, even a lot of libertarians have a problem with, are we really going to turn over police to free enterprise? Yes, we should. But we have a lot better accountability within the system than we ever will within our current system. Our current system is nowhere near the accountability and checks and balance as what we'll have within the system. Free enterprise does not mean you get to do whatever. I put major guardrails around it with representative bodies. I literally have everybody will be represented by 180 representative bodies that they vote for, or they select first and then they vote, and how important that is. So a ton of representative accountability checks and balances. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are the foreign policy ones. They have a personal authority at the federal level, and we just can't have a state not go to that one. I'll show you all the 30 in a minute and show you where that is. So basically, this is a way for this amendment to pass, and if a state doesn't want to go fully into it. The adoption of this amendment voids federal involvement in all the federal sectors dealing with foreign policy. The federal protection system, I think I called it. Anyway, all the ones that are in that federal protection system. I think I called it something a little bit different. We'll look at it. The other 25 sectors may authorize federal powers as defined in Section 5. So when I go to the system, most of the power is going to be at the state level or local level, other than the foreign policy protection system. And but there are some times when you want the FBI and law enforcement, that's not the federal protection system. You want the FBI, that's law enforcement, that's state control to a large degree. But sometimes you want a little bit of power going up there to get people who cross state lines. Everybody wants to have their criminals caught in Indiana if they're in Florida. You know what I'm talking about. You want there'll be enough across the state cooperation to take care of most of this anyway. You're going to have law enforcement companies that span all the different states, and people can hire on with. So this is but anyway, you want some to be at the federal level, and we have a system to do that. The Federal Parent Sector Board must address areas of significant concern arising from states not accepting specific sectors. So, once we go to this whole system, but some states did not accept the whole thing, it might cause some problems. It might cause some negative externalities. And the Federal Parent Sector Board must address those, which means they come up with a plan, and they do go through a multi-step voting system, because I use the word must. Look at that multi-step voting system and supermajority, and they have to come up with a solution to deal with the negative externality. There might not be a negative externality of not going to the system, but if there is a significant concern arising, and it takes like a 70% vote to say it is, a judicial branch to say it is. I have some well, the rating system determines it with a 50% vote I see here. So it's not 70% for this one. Okay, the 5-year transition period proposals must address states not fully accepting sectors. The federal parent rating system determines significant concerns with a 50% vote. So I have a rating system, and if there's a significant concern, the 50% of the rating system can say, hey, we have a concern, how are we going to address it? That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go into the states and take away all their authority. But that means we have to have a plan to coordinate between the states, from the CRA structure to the current state's government. And it can be done without taking away states' powers. to any large degree. Okay, here are the 30 sectors. The foreign protection system is the one I missed the name on a little bit ago. Anyway, that's sector 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Those are at the federal level, dealing with the foreign diplomats, the commander-in-chief, the military corporations, the military capability system, which is the funding mechanism, and the military authorization agency. But if they choose not to go away from our current government welfare system to the charity system, they don't have to. If they choose not to go with private police, they don't have to. They can stay with the government controlled courts and government controlled prisons and government controlled law enforcement. They can do that like their current system. Hopefully they won't. I think free enterprise is going to work a lot better. And guess what? Let's say they stay with it for 5 years and the free enterprise system outperforms them tremendously, and they see that people are much happier with it. They can always vote. Once the system's in place, they can always vote to go to the CRA structure for that sector. So it's not a one and done thing. But once they vote not to, they always have that option. Anyway, healthcare, I want competitive regulatory agencies in healthcare, not a one-size-fits-all. Though it's a one-size-fits-all that's causing a lot of problems. And we don't even have prices in the healthcare system that work even close to being used in the role of prices. And that's because we don't have free enterprise in healthcare. And banking, there's a lot to it. Anyway, they can choose to join or not join. Now, let's say they don't choose to go with the human resources and sales. That's the one that's collecting money for the foreign protection system, 5%. The current government would have to figure out their tax system, like their current tax system, and turn over 5% of their GDP, the state's portion of GDP, to the federal government, to that federal Sector 9, did I do that right? I think Sector 9, the military capability system. They have to turn that money over to that body for foreign protection. So there's a way to have a partial acceptance where you have the current government, state governments, continuing on with their transportation, their road system, or they're regulating their land and not going competitive. Now, I wish everybody would. It's a much better system. But they might want to see it proven out before and let the kinks get, everybody else takes care of the kinks before it gets them. Anyway, a competitive regulatory agencies, these are full governmental system with executive, legislative, and judicial powers. Very powerful. They regulate, they govern, and they send representatives. And this is at the city, state, and federal level. Anyway, I'm not going to go over it. We just went over all 30 sectors, so let's just go through this. And only 13 minutes because this is a very minor section, but it might allow some states to actually vote to go to this amendment that don't want to get rid of private sector police, or government police, and they don't want to go to a private sector police. Or they don't want to go private sector, they better go private sector education, because that's where most of the infringements of liberty is in this country, is socialism and education. But anyway, they have a lot, they can stay with their current government if they wish. It's just that the 5 in the foreign protection system, the military, diplomats, commander-in-chief, and that has to go to the competitive system. That's the only thing a state has to say, we're going to the CRA structure on to pass this amendment. Anyway, please consider a donation to the Haley 2020 for the movements thing. I want to get a social media person, help me edit and edit videos, social media, edit and make my writings better. And then eventually I do want to go to this full-time, get rid of my full-time job and do this full-time. So, until the next video.